Hello, 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 and welcome into this first introductory video of this new channel. My name is Schultz. I'm the primary host of this channel. We'll get more into that in a minute. Just want to welcome you all here today. This is going to be an explanation of what this channel is, why it's called what it's called, what the purpose is, and what you can expect to see here. So, first of all, the name. The name, and thusly shall we live. It's I did this name on purpose, partially because it keeps it in a relatively archaic manner of speaking, and it also kind of provides a bit of the theme of why I'm of the bit of the theme of the channel is kind of how should we live. Uh, so this is going to be a channel that is going to be trying to be kind of a philosophy podcast realm. That's like the focus is going to be that. It's going to involve a lot of Christian philosophy in it, with a little bit of with secular philosophy as well, and it's going to be looking at the secular philosophy and applying Christian values to it, seeing how it lines up. That's going to be part of it. It's going to be have a lot to do with what is right living, what is not right living, that kind of stuff. I see this a lot within Gen Z, where it's kind of a bit more of a something which isn't taught in schools really well, the philosophy side, how to evaluate your life, and kind of outside of into the more areas of the gray areas of scripture, where it's not particularly specific on how you should behave and interact in certain types of scenarios. That's kind of stuff that this channel is hopefully going to cover. It's also going to be heavily context focused. We'll get into that in a minute. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? I know nothing. Uh, that ultimately that is the part that you need to know, is that I don't really know anything. I went to college, got a 4-year degree in history, got a minor in criminal justice. I have been around the block a little bit. I'm young still. I am Gen Z myself. I'm not particularly old by any means, but I feel this is something which I'm led to do, and something which I have the capacity to do, is to bring things to your mind for you to evaluate by yourself. And really, with any content creator of any kind, you shouldn't really be listening to them and taking everything they have without reviewing it for yourself. Whether that be you go out of your way to do the research on it, or if you just look at it and evaluate it versus what you already know and decide whether or not you want to actually apply that to your life. So, as much as I have opinions on things, I really am not necessarily going to be somebody that you're going to be listening to, and me being the sole voice of reason on the subject would be a very terrible idea. But that is why, again, this is trying to be ran more like a podcast. So I'm going to be having guests on, which are going to be more so subject matter experts, people with some better authority on subjects to talk about. There's going to be some things that I'm going to talk about on my own, uh, partially because my network is still going to be relatively small in this field in particular. And also, there are some things which are more just direct opinions of mine, and not mostly not the most commonly shared topics in general. And that's going to be moving forward, like the general of who I am and how you should evaluate the things that I say. Um, the objective of this channel is ultimately to influence people. It's to provide the viewers with a opportunity to see things from a different perspective, to evaluate your own lives from a particular, from possibly a different viewpoint than the way that you see the world, and to kind of just give a general overview as to, or an explanation to, how the world works, if there's particular things about that that you're not sure on. That's hopefully going to be a kind of the topics that we're going to discuss. It's going to focus heavily on morality and right living. I'm a Christian. This will have Christian elements to it, regardless of what we're talking about, pretty much, outside of maybe a few historical things, which are just going to be straight history related. But a majority of it will have the Bible, will have Christian teaching brought into it at different points. My inspiration for this was based off of A, the Bible, and B, a few different books. The Consequences of Ideas by R.C. Sproul, How Should We Then Live by Francis Schaeffer, which is kind of where I get the idea for the title from. And then the writings of C.S. Lewis, some of Tolkien's commentaries on things. There's going to be a lot of different books. We might do some book reviews at some point. There's going to be a lot of that will probably get brought up throughout these. Philosophy and a Christian worldview, that's going to be another heavy focus of this, because it's going to be kind of taking the world of philosophy. So it's going to be taking Socrates, Plato. It's going to be taking more modern stuff. We probably will end up talking about Nietzsche, Soren Kierkegaard, those kinds of persons. Sorry to all the Norse people that may or may not ever see this. I'm not the best with pronunciation, particularly the Norse language at this point in time. I'll work on that later. And then history will be a focus. Again, I'm a history major. That's going to be something which I'm more easily going to fall into. I'm going to try to keep it. I'm not going to try to focus on history with this channel, not at this time. I want to try to keep it a bit more on the philosophy and the kind of what do you do with this? What do you do with things and such? Because history is fun and all, but unless it's applicable to modern day, I don't really want it to be the focus of the channel. And ultimately, again, everything will come back to Christianity at some point, because that is something which is non-negotiable for me, because the Bible does influence the way that we should live and the way that the world should be seen by Christians. And so that will come up, just because that is the way that I believe and that is how it will run. I'm not gonna try to make it I'm not gonna try to turn this into a Bible study. I'm going to try to keep it a holistic explanation of how the world works and what we should do about it and the right way to live. That ultimately is kind of the focus. That's the title of the channel. So the game plan for this is 1 to 2 videos a month. It's going to be a bit slow developing. I'm looking at doing collabs, maybe getting a co-host. I have at least one guy in mind for doing co-hosting, but I haven't talked to him about this yet. He knows that I'm going to be starting this. He doesn't know that I started it yet. I'm not particularly great whenever it comes to art and stuff like that, so I'm going to be looking at the royalty-free side of things. I don't want to use AI, at most a little bit for tweaking, but I don't really want to, because that AI is going to be one of those things that probably going to talk about sooner rather than later, although it's not on my list of stuff to talk about at this point in time, because I have some very strong opinions about AI and how it's used. Granted, I was in college whenever like ChatGPT and all that stuff first came out, and I got to see a lot of what people initially and immediately started doing with it right off the bat, and I didn't really like a lot of what I saw, but that'll be saved for its own video at some point. This is the general plan as it stands currently, is to do 1 to 2 videos a month, maybe more, maybe less. I have a real job that I have to go and work every week, so it's not like this is going to be my moneymaker, or this is going to be anything which I need to, for my own sake, to do. This is more something that I'm doing on the side, so I'm going to try to keep it in the range of being something that's casual and not put too much effort into this, hopefully. That's the general plan. So general topics that we're going to cover, these are some of the first ones that I want to do, partially because some of them are easy and partially because some of them I find really important. One of the ones which I run into a lot lately is going to be like language, the purpose of language, the degradation of language, whether that's a good or bad thing, language changing over time, and kind of like it's going to run, we're going to reference 1984 in that one a little bit. Politics will come up in some of these discussions. It's not exactly avoidable, especially nowadays. I won't try to make politics the focus of it. I won't try to make it a situation where I'm telling you how to vote or etc., depending on what nation you're from, how your voting works, etc. I'm not going to try to focus on that. That may or may not come up. I'm an American. Politics are mostly going to be centered around American politics. If they do come up, I'm going to try to leave that more as to the if it's right living or not side of things, and focus on being objective whenever it comes to how I present political behaviors and stuff that happens, and try to be objective with historical stuff that's related to morality as well. But we'll get into that into their own videos. at different times in the future. Morality and legislation, that's going to be an early one. That one's going to be pretty controversial. I'm pretty sure my opinions on it honestly won't be that long of a video whenever I do that one, but my opinions on it are going to be very probably controversial because I kind of run a middle ground. It makes everybody mad. Then you have justified warfare. Justified warfare, that one's going to be a very comfortable, easy topic for me to talk about because I'm a history major. I spent a lot of time doing military history classes and stuff like that. So that's something that I am comfortable talking about. The Eternal Boogeyman, we'll talk about that in a minute whenever I get over to censorship a bit more in detail, but that one is going to be a very controversial one, probably. I'm not like going out of my way to do controversial ones right away. It's just these are things that I know, and these are things that I know people don't like to talk about a lot. And this is some of the reasons why I want to talk about them. The Church of Reason, if you're a historian, you may or may not have picked up, that's a French Revolution reference. And that will be its own video, and that one will be a very pertinent to the modern day video in a large extent. And then why everyone should learn philosophy, that one will be another one, which I do plan on doing relatively soon, because that is kind of the purpose of this channel, is to explain why you should learn philosophy and why you should care about it, because philosophy is the earliest form of science. Is the why we are here, it's the what should we do about it. That's the stuff which really, really matters. And we'll get into that in its own video. That one will heavily be using The Consequences of Ideas by R.C. Sproul as an inspiration for the general plot line for it. That one will be one that I'll enjoy doing very much. So I've alluded to this a little bit, to the censorship question. So words inherently of themselves do not hurt people. And this is like this is what I believe about the subject, is that the censorship of individual words prevents candid discussion to address issues. And this is like the key part here, is that if you're going to talk about something like porn, rape, or any of those things, you need to be able to use the actual terms themselves. You can't hide behind euphemisms or stuff like that. You have to be straightforward and focused on it. So I don't expect this channel to ever get monetized. I don't expect it to be that big in the first place. But if it ever does get to that point where it could be monetized, money is not the point. If it comes between saying what should be said and using the right words to talk about it, I would rather use the right words than I would take money, because that is kind of like the fundamental purpose of this channel in the first place, is being straightforward and direct about how it all works. Some stuff will end up being convoluted, but that just is sometimes how things go. Past events must be discussed. Adolf Hitler, Nazis, all that. That will be coming up. I do have a general concept in mind for a video on that topic of Nazi Germany in general, how to look at morality in the past, how to look at the way that all of that stuff works in their own context. Probably there'll be a couple different videos about that kind of stuff in general. And that ultimately will be tied back into philosophy, because it's how you view the past is how you understand the present, largely. And that will be its own video. That one will be the most enjoyable for me, probably, and probably will be very interesting to see what happens with comments on that video. And that's one of the ones that I'm more looking forward to. But again, this is primarily going to be a philosophy and how to live channel. This is just the general overview of the censorship question in particular. I'm not trying to focus on those history, morality ones. I want to focus on stuff that's a bit more, how do we live in the modern day? But those ones will be discussed as well, and just want to put that out there now, so that way, don't get surprised by it whenever it shows up. And here's my final little bit here to talk about: is seek ye first the kingdom of God. God is the center of why this channel exists. God is why I'm still alive today. There's a lot of things that I have to be thankful and grateful for. And there's the one thing that I see with Gen Z in particular the most, and this is something that I've struggled with in the past, is that there is indeed a hope of future that we should cling to in our generation. Sometimes it may not look that great. Sometimes life could look pretty rough out there, especially these days. But this is the primary emphasis that I want to focus on this channel, is that there is a hope. There is a future that we should live for. We should not fall into hedonism of early Greece. We should not fall into nihilism. We should not fall into those things. We should be able to live good, healthy lives and walk in faith through it all. And lastly, as a safety brief, as I have been told many, many times in previous safety briefs that I have been a part of, don't sweat the petty things, don't pet the sweaty things, and never, ever, ever pet a burning dog. That's Schultz for video number 1, introduction, signing off.